You guys are cracking me up. It is Tuesday. But as some of you pointed out, Tuesday News Day struck. And a really cool news day, one that I'm very, very excited about. And I don't know, I was going to record a video, and instead I was like, you know what, let's just jump on to talk about this coconuts thing. And, you know, other Disney Lorcana stuff. But, yeah, if you're wondering, yes, I did drive to the grocery store immediately to buy 3 coconuts to use for thumbnails, because that's what content creators do. But yeah, nevertheless, that means here I am on a Tuesday night talking about why 3. That is a great question. The answer, Splinks, is you know why not to. Doing a thumbnail with 1 coconut is okay. Doing a thumbnail with 2 coconuts, I decided I couldn't do it. So it was either 3 or 1. That was the thing. And so I got 3 because I couldn't decide if I wanted to do more than 1. That is exactly why. But anyway, consider the coconut, the trunks, and the leaf. Each part of the coconut is all we need. That's true. So yeah, so normally Disney Lorcana likes to do this thing to me in particular. I think it's targeted, where we do our Monday night streams, and then Tuesday morning or Tuesday sometime during the day, they drop some huge news. And sometimes it's, you know, it's news. And sometimes it's really cool, awesome, amazing news that I've been waiting for, and I'm super excited to talk about. And that's what we got today with this coconut format, which I'm super jazzed about, because here's the thing, like, it affects everybody, whether or not you're going to play the format or not, for a variety of reasons. It affects collectors, it affects competitive players, because it affects card prices. It, like, there's so many things, if this format takes off and continues to be supported, that it could change. That it's a big deal. Like, it's a really big deal. And so I'm just super jazzed to talk about it. Can a potato be a coconut? That sounds like that's a philosophical question, I feel like. Reginald McGuffin. I'm not sure, maybe. Who doesn't have a coconut in their fruit basket at all times? Me, it turns out. How long do coconuts keep for? Right? Because in my mind, this is like a fortress of, like, this is a nut fortress, and I could keep one of these for like months. How long do coconuts stay good for? Like, is this... Also, there's a lot of coconut juice in here. But, yeah. So, Coconut Dex is a new product, I hope. Okay, so let's talk. Let me just say hi to everybody in the chat, because you all are awesome jumping in here on a random Tuesday night. Trevelin, Mike, good to see you. Wantech, Tuesday Newsday strikes again. It's true. Matt, always good to see you. Eric, all the good folks. Splinkses, Camille, Mama Hostler, you're here, of course. Say hi to the entire Hostler clan. It's funny. Of course you have coconuts on hand at home. That's, of course. The Hostlers would have coconuts on hand. Lee Barb's coconuts, yes, absolutely. And yeah. So Splinks is mic inputting. It sounds like the webcam mic. Oh, hold on. No, it's not the webcam mic. I've got it set to MXG. I've got it set to the right one. Hold on. Let's change songs here. How's that? Maybe that'll work. Because maybe it is the Hold on, folks. Because it's doing this ambience thing. Stop that. Stop that. There we go. Let's do this. All right. How's the audio now? We better? We okay? Yeah. Yeah, it was, for some reason, this, I use this website to stream music from, and I forget that by default it puts these ambient noises along with the music, which is weird. So, I don't like it. There we go. Yeah, sorry. It had this ocean in the background, which I'm sure sounded like a fan or like my AC or something. But yeah, okay. So coconuts. So coconuts is a cool thing. I'm super excited. I think for anybody who was at Indy who had access to the VIP room, they had people sign an NDA and they were beta testing a new format, and this was the format that a lot of folks got to test out. And it has everybody seen the news? By the way, Lee says he's already building decks. This format's gonna be a blast. Lee, send me deck lists as you start building them out, because I'm really curious. Yeah, it's so much fun to play. And is everybody here familiar? Does anybody not know the rules? I'm gonna talk about them anyway. But anybody, does anybody have no idea what I'm talking about right now? I'm sure there's some folks. Just in case, I'm going to go over the rules again anyway. So, to refresh everybody, coconuts, first off, it is a singleton format, kind of like Commander and Magic. So one copy of every card. There is an exception, which I'll talk about in a moment. 60 card decks. There was some debate, I think, about doing more, but one of the big things was the game devs wanted the deck to fit in a standard size deck box, and so didn't want to, or standard Disney Lorcana size deck box, so didn't want to go up to 100 and all that, but you can play with more. I think there's a philosophical question about playing with more than 60 in a singleton deck. I like the chaos of Commander, where every game is completely different. So for consistency, if you're going to build a deck that you want to do a thing, you generally want to stay around 60. But I think for pure chaos and fun, doing over 60 and having 70, 80 card decks is just a ton of fun. So the one exception is you can have up to 4 copies of your coconut card, your coconut character. The coconut characters are based on Disney Lorcana cards that already exist, based on them insofar that they have the same art, the same character name, and the ability of that coconut character is somewhat based on the source card. But each coconut card is unique in that it's been given a specific ability by the game devs to alter your deck in some way. So this is, again, kind of like Commander, where you have a Commander card, except it's different because you're not playing this card to the board. It's just sitting there giving your deck an identity. One of them, for example, if you haven't checked them out yet, that's easiest to remember and kind of fun, is Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor. Gives every Mickey Mouse card in your deck shift 2, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely wild. You can play, like a 1-cost Mickey Mouse and then shift out a Brave Little Tailor on turn 2, which is kind of crazy. So that's a ton of fun. And so the idea is that the game devs have designed these different flavorful coconut cards that kind of give your deck a direction and identity and allow you to do some like busted things. And then you pick your coconut card and then you build a deck around them. They've also changed the ink restrictions because, for a variety of reasons, they've been testing it for a while, but rather than just being restricted to 2 colors, you're restricted to only to 3 colors. But one of those colors does have to be the same identity as your coconut card. And so, yeah, so there's that. And then I think the only other big difference is you're playing to 25 lore instead of 20 lore, which gives, because this is, to be honest, with some of the coconut cards, you can create some pretty high, powerful, busted things. And so 25 lore does give you a little bit more space to breathe and to close things out. I suspect, like, they're going to continue to evolve the format over time. I suspect as we see people, like, break some of these coconut cards through some really innovative decks, that if there's any change that's going to happen to the format, it's going to be to that lore total going up to make games longer. because I don't know, I just suspect that might be a thing. Um, so yeah, catching up with some folks here in the chat. Java Bear Sisu, hey, thanks for stopping by, talking about coconuts. Kirby, hey, good to see you. Eric says, as a former MTG guy for decades, I have an innate disdain for singleton formats and the way that they, I'll say it's a lot, bastardize the things that I once loved. Interesting. I'll have to pick your brain more on that, and why. I mean, I understand Commander and what it did to, to Magic, but I don't know. Singleton, I think, is a ton of fun because it just, every game that you sit down to play is different, and yeah, it's just different. So I don't know why. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Diet Kirby says, my brain is still trying to understand rotation, so adding coconuts to the mix, oof. Yeah, I mean, but it's different. Look, the thing about coconuts, before I talk about, because what I'm going to do here in a minute is I'm going to figure out my layout here, and I'm going to bring up every single coconut card, and we're going to talk about each one and what you can do with them and why they're going to be fun. So we're going to do that in a moment. But to respond to a couple of things in the chat, coconuts are going to be a thing that some people are going to love and some people are just going to ignore and not play. And that's fine. What I suspect is going to happen is, if this format continues to gain some attention and as people, sit down to play it and enjoy it, you're going to have sections of the Disney Lorcana community who pretty much engage in like coconuts, not only or primarily. Like, that's going to be what they play. There's going to be families who enjoy the format so much and like playing different decks and putting decks on the shelves that they're going to play coconuts on family game night, and that's what they're going to play, because it's a format that you can play with the entire family. 1 kids, 2 kids, 3 kids. You can play 5-player coconuts. Everybody sit down at the table and play. There are going to be friend groups, and game groups who play coconuts, and that's what they play. I hate constantly like going and referencing Commander because I know it's very polarizing, but that's what you see in other games like Magic with these multiplayer formats. Some people will love it. Some people will completely ignore it and simply engage in core constructed infinity like we've seen. And some people will, dual hat and do both. And the thing is, I think the game is richer for it because the game will attract and retain players who play coconuts and no other format. And so what you're really doing, I think, is growing the pie of the player base and giving people who might not enjoy like 1v1 formats a home. Aaron, to be frank, is kind of that way. Aaron really, really does not like the confrontational nature of one-on-one TCG games, just doesn't. She knows how to play Disney Lorcana. She's played a lot of Disney Lorcana. I taught her how to play Magic. She didn't like the one-on-one aspect of Magic, but loves multiplayer. Love you too, Aaron. I was just talking about you. And how much you like multiplayer and cooperative games.
Yeah. They're the best.
Yeah, she says they're the best. So like, but for Erin, like, she loves the Lumineer's Quest because they're cooperative in the multiplayer. And even though Coconuts isn't cooperative, like, the confrontational nature of it is lessened quite a bit because you're playing this multiplayer format. And frankly, Coconuts and other multiplayer formats like this are oftentimes more about doing busted things and having your deck do really cool things than they are winning. So it's just lower stress. So that's what I like about the format. Really what it is it's kind of expanding the pie and giving other people who may not enjoy 1v1 Disney Lorcana a different way to experience the game. So it's not for everybody. I will say that right up front. Eric says he used to play old school EDH. It was fun until it directed the market and turned into a cash cow for Hasbro. Like, Eric, that is a whole thing I could talk about for like an hour, and how it was great as a fan format. I agree with you. It was great as a fan format, and it was ruined as soon as they started supporting it. Yeah, Jeweled Lotus is anyway, whole thing. But I completely agree. Matt says, hope for primarily engage with this game as coconuts in the future. I don't care much for it. Yeah, so that's the thing. There's some people who this will be the primary way they play. But the thing about it is, because the rule set, is largely the same. I mean, it's very, very easy for people to learn one format, learn one way to play, and to bounce back and forth between the two. So you can teach people how to play on coconuts, and then kind of, it's a different mindset and mentality, but you can take the same rule set and train them and have them play 1v1. So it's really, really great. Sisu's broken, but why no coconut goggle? I don't know. Dumbo broken. There's so many. They're all broken. Okay, here's the other thing. Mike says they're all broken. Here's the other thing about coconuts as we get into, we're going to jump into the cards here in a moment once I can get my Canva thing figured out. The thing about coconuts. So there's two analogies I have for the suite of coconut cards in terms of the very power levels. One, I'll use Disney Lorcana's Villainous. In Villainous, if you've ever played, there are a variety of different characters you can choose, and each character plays differently. There's a basic rule set, but each character has different objectives and it plays differently. And some characters are easier or harder to play. And so when you sit down to play a game of Villainous, you kind of get to choose, if you've done research and looked online and figured out how hard or easy some of these characters are to play, you get to choose basically how difficult of a game that you want to have, based on the opponents you have. If you want to play, Prince John, you're going to have one game experience and it might be kind of difficult. If you want to play Ursula, you're going to have a different game experience and the difficulty will vary. And you can look online and people have ranked all the different villains on how difficult they are to play. You see the same kind of dynamic, I think, in Commander, where there's certain commanders which are just a lot better than others. And depending on how mean you want to be to your play group, when you sit down to play, you can choose to play, this really mean-spirited commander who's really, really good, or you can choose to play this other commander which is a lot kinder to the table. But there's kind of an agreement about what power level you're playing, at a given table. The same thing is going to happen with coconuts, right? So it is impossible to design all of these cards so that they have complete parity. If we were to throw all these decks online into a simulator and play a bajillion different games and look at win statistics, there's probably certain coconut cards which are very, very easy to play and have really strong synergies that are completely busted and you'll win a good percentage of the time. And then there's others that are probably a lot more difficult to play. And to be quite honest, that is perfectly fine. There does not need to be parity, as long as I think there's a general understanding among the community about which decks are better than others. Because when you sit down to play with a group, you should kind of know that if you're playing, let's say, the aerial deck, that the aerial deck is really, really good and that deck has a really strong chance of winning. And so if that deck wins, it's fine, right? It's not like when somebody selected Odd Job in GoldenEye, which just felt like they were cheating, right? It's not that. It's we all have to accept and agree and understand that different coconut cards will have different power levels, and that's fine. You get to customize your play experience based on whether you want an easy game or a hard game, depending on which coconut you choose to play, So that's the thing. Do you pay the one? Yeah. Do you pay the one? Let's see, catching up in chat. John Silver, yeah, anyway. The other aspect of this, before I get into this, is one of the things that makes Commander popular. There's a whole variety of things. There's the multiplayer aspect of it. There's the singleton aspect of it, which makes deck building both harder and easier, in different ways. There's the fact that you're just trying to do busted things with busted cards and all that. But the other thing is the role-playing aspect of it. And there's not a strong roleplay element like there would be in, let's say, D&D or certain board games like Arkham Horror or things like that. But there is this roleplay mentality to it where when you sit down and you're playing, an aerial coconut deck, you're kind of Ariel at the table, right? You're kind of embodying Ariel and bringing that character's element and her flavor to the deck. And so the roleplay aspect of this format is going to be incredibly popular with some people, and it's going to make a lot of fun, especially in Disney, where everybody has these characters that they gravitate towards. And to be frank, there's a lot of people who are going to build their first coconut deck, and they're going to jump in the app and they're going to build a deck based on their favorite character, regardless of the ability. Some people are going to look at the abilities that they love and they're going to be like, oh man, this Mickey Mouse thing is cool. And there's some people who are just going to jump in and be like, you know what, I love Ariel. Like, Ariel is my favorite Disney character. I want to build an Ariel deck. I want to build a deck where I slap, the Ariel coconut card down on the table. And that's what I want to do. So that's really, really exciting. So, yeah. But Matt's saying the Power Love thing makes sense. It'll be interesting to see how it's handled. I don't know how it handled by the community. I think because I don't know that this is going to be a competitive format. Maybe there will probably be some tournaments. Like, there's tournaments in Commander and all that. There will be people who make it competitive. But in general, I think it's designed to be a more casual format. And so I don't know that anything needs to be done officially in terms of ranking the power level of these cards. I do think the dev team should, and they have worked to create some form of parity. Like, you do want them to generally all be able to play at the same table together, right? So if you had a commander, for example, or commander, if you had a coconut that said, you only need 10 lore to win the game, clearly that is so much more powerful than anything else that you can't sit down and play it at the same table. So there is some responsibility to create some parity in that regard, but in terms of them needing to actually rank these or officially, I think that's a community thing, and I think we'll all come up with our tier lists and our ranking systems, and I think we'll generally all know which commanders are the ones that we should, that are the powerful ones, and which ones are the ones that are really difficult to play. Anyway, with that, I am gonna let me do some Canva work here real quick, which I should have done earlier, but whatevs. Because I'm gonna throw all these coconuts up, and we're gonna talk about them because they're super fun. Super fun. The other thing I'll talk about while I'm doing this, clearly right now, they're beta testing the format. They've got 18 cards. They're all digital in the app. And there is a world in which all of these cards remain digital only. And that Ravensburger, can tweak them live in the app and add them and take them away and adjust and all that. And I think we're going to live in that world for a while, because I think they're going to want to do more testing on the format and see how the community responds and adjust things before they commit to making physical cards. But can you imagine if this format continues to be popular, or is popular, and people get excited about it and build decks around it and all that jazz? Can you imagine a world in which we start producing physical coconut cards as special promo versions or whatever? Or in pre-constructed coconut decks? Because if that becomes a thing, I can see these cards becoming incredibly popular. Because the thing about these coconut cards is, people like to play shiny enchanteds, right? Because you love the idea of slapping down that Elsa Fistbird enchanted on the table and everybody going ooh and ah and looking at your shiny cardboard. When you play coconuts and you sit down at the table, the first thing you do is put your coconut card along beside your deck. And so if you have a blinged out version of a coconut card that you can put there, that is actually kind of amazing. So I think there's a world in which I would love to see a ton of different variants and versions of each coconut card, so people can customize their their play space however these cards see fit. I also see a world in which, if this format takes off, alterations of coconut cards where you have called card alterations, adjust your coconut that sits next to your decks. That becomes incredibly popular, because people are going to want these blinged out versions of their coconut cards. It's really, really cool. Yeah, Eric says we shouldn't have DLCs that are not traditional format. Yeah, 100% agree. And I don't think this format is never going to replace the standard competitive format. ever. I think it's going to be more of a casual format, and I think there'll be side events that are competitive because, you know, you can do whatever you want with side events. But yeah, this format will never replace our standard Core Constructor or Infinity formats. Yeah, also agree, Eric. Give coconut only cards at different backs so they don't get shuffled in and actually played. Yeah, 100% agree. We have some precedent for that with like the Ursula decks and the decks in Illumineer's Quest, where they have like a different Lorcana back on them. I think that would be great. You have them all kind of stand out. Um, anyway, yeah, I'm super. Oh, R&B is here. R&B always has opinions. Um, I'm here for it. We're at R&B. Tamatoa? Tamatoa coconut? R&B says he can play exact. This is now the only, other than limited, I guess limited, but this is the only sanctioned format, constructed format where you can play Hiram Flavisham. So there we go. Wait for the Hiram Flavisham coconut, right? Like, it's gonna happen. It has to happen, right? Like, I feel like it's a meme at this. Like, just for the memes, it has to happen. We have got to get a Hiram Flavisham coconut at some point, right? Can you imagine? What would that even do? I don't even know. Yeah, Mike says at Indy, Kyle made sure to let us know that Hiram was illegal. That's hilarious. Fungus says, I really hope the focus doesn't become this. I left Magic because the focus on multiplayer. Yeah, I agree with you, Fungus. I do think it's a balance, and I don't think... I think you're right. I think you have to be very careful when you're designing like core constructed sets, if things become, how should I say this? It's very, very difficult to build a set of TCG cards when you're focusing on one format and or two formats. When you're focusing on core constructed, but you're also thinking about the implications on infinity of the cards that you're printing and how cards that you print in core constructed will break something in infinity and allow something to become incredibly overpowered. Like, that's difficult enough. Then when you throw in limited, which they're trying to do, and trying to create a good limited experience, that becomes extra difficult. And as soon as you start trying to consider a fourth format, like a format like Coconuts or like Commander and Magic, and throwing in cards for that format, like, it becomes almost impossible to like serve all these different formats simultaneously. So I agree with you. I don't think that should be the case. And I think the nice thing is, because Coconuts are designed to be separate from, like, these separate cards where they're not, you know, core constructed cards or infinity cards, they're not legal in these competitive formats. They're just extra things. I think that helps alleviate some of that problem, because what you see oftentimes in Magic is you see legendary cards that are designed, like, as soon as they're printed, you're like, okay, you designed those to be Commander cards. That's the only reason that they exist. And then sometimes they break formats. So I think that alleviates some of it. But I do agree with you. One of the things that made, and Eric talked about this earlier, one of the things that made Commander and like EDH so fun and kind of magical and early on was the fact that it was a fan created format, and you could do crazy things with cards that were never designed to be used in this way, which is why, like, Rhystic Study, which was a 10-cent card, common bulk, became like a $20, $30, $40 card, because it was never meant to be used in this way, and you just took it now and you put it in this new format. It was really, really cool. I would love to see, at least in the near term, maybe for the all term, this Coconut format to be treated kind of that way, almost like apathetic, where it's like, we're going to continue to design core constructed sets. We will roll out new Coconuts to do fun things as new mechanics come out and all of that, and every set will release new Coconuts, and, you know, but like, we're not going to try to design core constructed sets around this with this format in mind. I think that is fair. Um, anyway, but I do think, Fungus. The point that I was making earlier. What is nice about this format is, what I hope it does is expand the pie, because there are going to be people who do not enjoy the competitive nature of 1v1 games, who will enjoy coconuts. And so if you're a competitive TCG player, for example, and your partner doesn't enjoy the 1v1 aspect of games, but you can get them to sit down to play a game of coconuts, that just expands the player base, and it allows people to enjoy the game in their own way. And so that's what I hope that we see, is that, not that it distracts from the current formats, but that it kind of expands the pie, and that it allows us to bring and retain a group of players which otherwise wouldn't engage with the 1v1 competitive formats. So I think that's kind of the dream. It's not that it distracts, but it grows the pie, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, Eric, I found, when I came back into Magic in 2018, I found like 8 Ristic studies in my bulk, and I was like, oh, what happened here? Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be super cool. I just think I think it's really cool. I don't think that it is going to, at least in the near term, I don't think we're in any danger of it affecting the core gameplay, because especially since Ravensburger has shown a desire to push the competitive formats, and even what we're hearing about season 3 with like 64 CCQs and the announcements I'm sure we're going to get in the near future, like they're really and by the way, bringing on Coop, who has a background in esports and competitive esports and broadcasting. I think that is where they really want to take the competitive aspect of this game, is to like the esports level, to make it that big and to kind of continue to grow the competitive scene. So with all the focus that we're seeing on that, I don't think we're in danger of this kind of taking over the core constructed gameplay, or even in Infinity. So I don't think. I could be wrong, but I really do think it's an effort to like just expand the pie, and I'm here for it. So I'm getting these coconut cards ready, and then I want to hear what you all think about these cards. So, Fungus, I don't think we're splitting the player base. I think what we're doing is expanding the player base. I was making the point earlier. Erin, who really loves Disney Lorcana, she does not enjoy 1v1 games at all. And I cannot, it is not an enjoyable experience for her. She's just not a confrontational, competitive person, and she does not enjoy sitting down and facing off against a person. One person wins, one person loses. It's just a feels bad experience. And there are a lot of people who are that way, who enjoy competitive board games more than they do, cooperative board games more than they do competitive board games, etc. But I guarantee, but Erin loves Illumineer's Quest, and I guarantee though, if we were to get together 3 or 4 people and she could build a coconut deck around, Winnie the Pooh, who's her favorite Disney character, like she would really enjoy that format. And so Erin is a perfect example of somebody who is engaged in the hobby, like collecting all of that, who knows how to play the game, but competing is not her thing. She's not going to do set champs. She's not going to do, DLCs. But if I can get her to play coconuts with, Aaron Rubin and some other folks who come over to play, like she's going to love that. So like, that's what it's about. I don't think it's splitting the player base. I think really ultimately what it's going to do is expand the player base. That's what I appreciate. Old Man Forum says, you're an extremely positive person. Your energy is dope. I appreciate that. I aim for positivity. But yeah. So there we go. So let me get this up here. Let me see if my screen mirror scene is yeah, hold on. What are you? Get rid of you. Chat box. Get out of here. We're doing it live. Yeah, but I think that that's the goal, is to expand the player base. I hope. Where is... Hold on, folks. Hold on. We're gonna get this up here. You know what? I could just do this way. Right? No. Okay. Do. No, look at this. Do this all wrong. All right, let's do it this way. One day I'm gonna people have been telling me for ages, especially Wonderland and other folks, that I really need to get OBS rocking instead of doing this craziness that I do with Streamlabs, because it's a whole thing. So I'm gonna do it eventually. But in the meantime, I'm working on janky Streamlabs here. Here we go. All right, slide you down. So you get to see me do it live. Except you can't see Ariel up there. Oh well. Oh well. Well, we're not gonna see some of these. You know, I'm gonna pull my monitor off when we talk about some of these. So, but we'll start with the ones we can see. This is really crazy. Cautiously optimistic is where I land. I appreciate that, Fungus. I think that's the best I can hope for with some folks. I will say, I know that among former Magic players that there's a ton of scar tissue with Commander. I fully acknowledge that. And so there's been a vocal part of the community who have said for ages, we don't need Commander in Lorcana. Stop trying to make Disney Lorcana Magic. And I get it. But I do think what is interesting is this is done. This is a really interesting thing that they've done with the Coconut format, where it has a lot of similarities, but it's different enough in terms of how they've designed the Coconut cards that I don't know. I think it could work. So I don't know. Dragonia, I am excited for the format Coconut. Certainly am. Yeah, so before I talk about the Coconuts, there's one more point I want to address, and it's where Eric said, talking about Enchanted's Jump. Yeah, what this is going to do is also give, for the collectors, there's going to be added value to a lot of these cards. For Coconuts that have enchanted versions, you may see them jump, although what I will say is you can't use an enchanted version of a card as your Coconut, because the Coconut cards have different text and wording on them. So it's not like you're going to take have an enchanted Commander out there. That's not the way it works. But the other thing it's going to do is there are going to be certain cards. Rhystic Study in Magic is a perfect example of a card which spiked due to its multiplayer application. There's going to be a lot of singles which right now are worth pennies or whatever because they're not playable, but will become really popular in this format, either because they synergize with a popular Coconut or because they're very good in multiplayer. Cards which say something like, do X to all players. And so what you're going to see is the EV of certain sets and boxes go up based on the popularity of certain multiplayer cards. So that is kind of exciting for collectors because there's just added value, with another format. So we don't want to talk about collector boosters. That's a whole other thing. R&B, send me your deck list. So, okay. So any of these that you all want to talk about before I start going down the line, which one are you most excited about, or do you hate the most, or is the most polarizing, or is I don't know. Are there any of these like that you all saw? Try to get it over here, and you were like, oh my, that is nuts. Try to get this first. Yeah, here we go. Nick Wilde. Mr. Incredible is awesome, obviously. Yeah, Nick Wilde would be your jam. You can have it to 4 copies. Once during return, you banish 4 of your items if you do gain 4 lore. I mean, it's popsicle written all over it. I mean, yeah, that's yeah, build up items, banish items, gain lore. It's an interesting way. Yeah, because here's the other thing with Nick Wilde, like how much item hate is there going to be in some of these decks, you know? Just not a lot, I assume. So it's just, you know, dump a whole bunch of items on the board and build item engines, and then, you know, because the thing about the cards like Nick Wilde is, I don't know that you build the whole deck to like win by just like banishing items, right? Like you build it to do like other things, but then you have this out where it's like every turn, or you know, as you near the end game, you can just banish your items for whatever. And especially if you have item recursion, like one of the things that made Popsicle so good was the fact that it could banish itself to allow you to immediately recur it. And so anything that has any deck that has item recursion in it, now you have another outlet where it's just like, I'm gonna banish my stuff, and I'm just gonna bring it right back, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. So I'm excited about Nick Wilde. I do like that they've given certain archetypes, and in this case, like item archetypes, attention, because all of these, what I like the coconuts the best that have kind of a unique flavor to them. Some of the others, like Robin Hood, for example, once during your turn, you may deal 1 damage to each opposing character. Like that's a really, really fun card, and it feels very Robin Hood because there's a lot of Robin Hoods that ping. And so it is a very Robin Hood card, but like, I don't know, that one is one of those cards that like the direction and strategy of that deck isn't quite as clear to me as it is with like Nick Wilde, where it's just like play buku items, you know? I see your deck list, Reginald. I'm going to pull it up in a moment. Really exciting. Mr. Incredible is awesome. I haven't looked at him actually. Whenever you play a super character, they gain rush this turn, and you may exert chosen opposing character with less strength than them. I love, we used to call them tribal decks, you know, in Magic. I love typal decks, synergy decks, and a deck like full of superheroes just doing super things sounds incredibly fun to me. So yeah, I don't know, like Mr. Incredible, to me, he sounds like a card which is not as busted as some of these others. Like there's a lot of board control here, right? But like in terms of your win condition and being able to push your lore total, and doing like incredibly busted things, he doesn't sound quite as good, even though I guess you have like Super Goof and characters like that which gain you instant lore, so there is that. But it is fun because in terms of like the role play and the synergy and like I don't know, like the archetype, anything where a certain character type matters to me is super fun, and pun intended. So yeah, Liquidator exerting swinging right away is silly. Yeah, absolutely. Ursula, I see a lot of people talking about Ursula. Ursula's a deck that they had at Indy, I believe. Your characters, yeah, so basically all your characters sing for more. Yeah, I mean, it's not double singing, right? But like anything that allows you to amplify your song cards and just building a deck that's like, I don't know, you could go like, I don't know, yeah, you could do some busted stuff with that. Especially, so one interesting thing would be, So the downside to this, right, is like your singers, like any singing cards, like it doesn't do anything for them, right? Because it just increases the cost, so it doesn't necessarily increase the singer. So like Air Spectacular Singer is still a singer 5. You know, she counts as 4 for singing songs, but she still is just singer 5, so it doesn't increase your singing ability. So cards that are naturally built to be singers like that, it doesn't, I don't know, doesn't do much for them. But I don't know, I can see people breaking that pretty wide open. Especially when you have like 1 costs, which now are singer 2, so you're dumping a 1 cost out, and on turn 2 you're singing like Strike a Good Match or Sudden Chill or whatever. Like, yeah, kind of crazy. 4 popsicles, yeah. Turn 1 Sticky Mickey, turn 2 Shift Champion. Yeah. Mickey Mouse is one of those that's like pretty busted, right? Kind of. There's just so many Mickey Mouses in the game, and there's some pretty huge Mickey Mouses. There's also like Mickey Mouse Trumpeter, which allows you to like play characters for free, right? So you can turn 1 that, turn 2 Mickey Mouse Trumpeter, turn 3 you're just like dumping other characters on the board while you're shifting Mickeys. It feels pretty ridiculous. So I feel like Mickey Mouse is one of those where it's like, I don't know, pretty high power level. But like it's also high rolly, right? Like you can high roll with it and get like a BLT out on turn 2. Or you won't, like, because the singleton format it's risky. So I don't know. What I like about it is there's just so many, I don't know, there's so many like different possibilities with the deck. Because if you have a turn 1 Mickey, and then you have a handful of like 6 Mickey Mouses, like the options that you have, depending on the scenario that you're facing, is, I don't know, it's so cool. So anyway, I'm a fan. I'm kind of a fan of that one. Yeah, Fungus says when the overall card pool is lower, slower engine decks are very valuable, especially with higher lore requirement to win. Yeah, I agree. I also think, hey, Wonderland raiding with a party 13. Hey, Raiders. Also, Wonderland, sorry, I just noticed that. It didn't do a weird raid thingy. So, hey, thanks for the raid. I hope you had a good stream. I'm just sitting here talking about coconuts because I'm pretty excited. I actually I went out and bought some coconuts to use in a thumbnail. It's funny, being a content creator is sometimes leads to these weird moments where you just turn to your spouse and you're like, hey, Erin, I need to go to the grocery store in the next hour because I need 3 coconuts. And she's like, why do you... I can count the number of coconuts we bought in our marriage on one hand, and the answer is like 1. So now we have 3 coconuts. She's like, are you going to use these for anything besides a thumbnail? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, appreciate you jumping in and the Raiders here. So we're just, let me know what you think about coconuts, what you think about the format. We're just kind of looking at the different cards right now and talking about, which ones are kind of appealing to us. Because it's pretty exciting, to be quite frank. Anyway, the other thing, Fungus, is in multiplayer formats, oftentimes you have, especially with higher lore total, you have more time, but also if you're playing with a let's say a fairly competitive group, the person who kind of rushes ahead earlier, the person's the most danger, right? There's some politics involved, and people are generally banding up to stop the person that's kind of racing ahead. So when you do play these slower engine decks, sometimes you kind of run undetected for a while everybody focuses on the bigger threat, and then by the time people realize what you're doing, it's too late and you've already like solidified your game plan. So yeah, these slower engine decks are great. Luke, again, thanks for the raid. I appreciate you so much. Ursula becomes a singer 4 and double sing-along came Zeus. Yeah, okay. I forgot about the fact that... Okay, I forgot about the fact. Sorry, going back to Ursula. One of the rules of Coconuts is your Coconut character, the card that is based on, you can have 4 copies in your deck. So the Ursula, you would be singleton across the board except for 4 copies of Ursula Deceiver of all. And what that means is you are most definitely going to see one of your Coconut cards in a game, especially if you alter aggressively for it. And so in an Ursula deck, you are more likely than not, way more likely than not, to have an Ursula Deceiver of All, in your early turns. And so Ursula being able to get her out, having her sing for 4, and then double sing a 4-cost song is kind of nuts. Especially if it's like a Long Came Zeus, or I don't know. There's just so many different possibilities that opens, which is wild. Especially if you can. So you can like Vanessa on 2, Ursula Deceiver of All on 3, and then you can sing together an 8-cost. How quickly can you get to eye to eye? Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of busted things you can do. It's pretty exciting. Ursula double singing a whole new world to mill someone is going to happen. Yeah, that's a good point. R&B, the mill strategy. You could mill everybody else, right? Like you could build a deck built purely around Ursula Deceiver of All, recurring the whole new world, and like, and just like milling. Like you play like a 65 card deck, and you just mill everybody else at the table like simultaneously. Absolutely nuts. One of the things, drink them after that's a good short, for sure. One of the cards I actually really like, the Snow White card, is actually kind of fun. What I really, really love about Snow White is it changes the way that you play. Like it changes your win con almost. You still have to get to 25 lore, but what Snow White says is once during your turn, you may reveal your hand if you have a Snow White and 7 or more 7 dwarfs character cards with different names among them in your hand, your discard, and in play. Your characters get +2 lore for the rest of the game. So it doesn't change your win con. Like it's not like instant win. You still have to get 25 lore, but if all of your characters in your deck are considered having +2 lore, like your odds of winning are very, very, very good. So your opponent still has a way back in, but like it changes the way you play the game, because instead of pursuing a traditional like strategy to win, your whole deck is built around finding the dwarfs, because what you have to find all, you just have to find all of them. And so Snow White is a really, really, really fun card to me, and it's an example of what this format could be, where it gives you an objective to achieve that's not what we're used to. And what that does too is, like, later on in later sets, when we see another set of dwarfs printed, people are going to get really excited because they're like, oh, now I have more options for, this Snow White card. So it's pretty fun. So Fair Queen says, I had to tell 2 people to swap Thunderbolt to Zeus because it's better in their coconut decks. Fair. That's true. And then Diablo singing You're Welcome seems busted. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Shifting into play on turn 2, singing You're Welcome. Yeah. Matt saying Snow White is incredibly fun. I won the second game I played with it, and there's nothing more fun than revealing that you finally had all the dwarves. Yeah, that's the fun thing is, with Snow White is like the fact that you can have them in your hand means you can secretly just kind of play your own game, and you're like doing your own thing, and you're like, it's almost like playing Rummy, where your opponent's like, do you have it? Do you not have it? Like, what do you got over there? And you're just like shuffling cards around, and eventually you're like, boom, got it. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, this is fun. All right, somebody sent me. You all have been sending me stuff. Hold on. I love R&B. Ryan, you make me so happy. I love that you have this deck already, like, going. How long was it? Like, formats revealed. And I mean, some of us knew about it from Indy, but like, formats revealed, and you're, creating this deck immediately. That, I don't know. This is probably going to be difficult to see on the screens there, folks, but Ryan's got this deck already constructed. I see Darkwing Ducks running around out there. How many items is this, man? It took you 4 minutes to build it. You just like search items, and then just throw them all in. See red. I mean, it's just a lot of good removal. A couple ramp cards there. Really good top end with Sisu, Tamatoa. So what? So I'm guessing this is your Nick Wild deck, yeah. You just wanted to play Fortisphere and Popsicle in the same deck again, didn't you? $27 items. Fungus, I want to see what you're jamming on too. Red, blue, green. Interesting color combos. Yeah, you have Oswald too doing nuts Oswald stuff. Yeah, I mean this is just fun. It's just really fun. There's a lot of cards in here. I mean, a lot of cards with core constructive viability, like we've seen all over the place. But just some other really fun cards in here. Yep. And yeah, so Ryan, this is kind of what I was thinking with this deck, where it's like, you know, the goal isn't to like build up 4 items, banish 4 items, build up 4 items, banish 4 items, build up 4 items, banish 4 items. What it does is like that card basically gives you another outlet, and as you're just building this item engine, and as you either build up excess items, you just dump them off, or you know, it's another way to recur items, or it's just like a way to close out the game. But you're kind of doing the item engine craziness. You got the workshops going and the Great Stone Dragon and all of that, but then you add on this little extra ability to close out the game through that. So you can equally win with like Lucky Dime, you know, because that is the thing. Like with the 60 card deck, like with a 100 card deck, a la Commander, like this deck plays slightly differently because your odds of finding the dime and hitting some of these are a lot lower. With the Singleton deck, like with the right cards in here, you know, I'm looking, running, I don't see visions and that kind of thing, but there's enough card draw here that you're going to find it eventually, you know? Super fun. Workshop is gross. Yeah. Oswald shoulda, coulda, woulda been a coconut. He was probably considered as a coconut. Yeah, Enchanted Kim saying coconut. I knew you would love this format. Kim, I'm sure you're already jamming on an Aerial Princess deck. That's my guess. I need to see it when you get it finished. Yeah, this is super cool. Intentionally, I have 0 cards that ink from the top of the deck because this is Singleton, you cannot afford to have a combo piece inked. That's a fair point. Good point, R&B. Like, yeah, in Singleton, a card like One Jump or something is like really dangerous because you lose your dime, and then you never know that it's gone. So that's fair. All the princes in the songs. But yeah, this is super. I love this. Ryan, we should do a video. Let's do it. Kim, let's do this. Let's do a video. Let's have like 3 or 4 creators or players create their initial coconut deck. You know, Ryan, we can do a short clip on items and talk about this deck. Kim, we can do princesses. You know, you can talk about your deck, and we'll do 4 or 5 creators and their initial coconut builds and why they're fun. That'd be great. Jeebus, hey, gonna make a Sapphire deck with all of everyone's Ink X cards as a major. Yeah. Yeah, major theme. Yeah. That's the fun thing. Like, there's all these cards that are like, that do things to all players, which are just so much more fun in this format. Let's do it. I don't know that we can play. I gotta figure out how to do some gameplay, but at the very least, we can have like a video highlighting them, you know? But it's super fun. If anybody else has any initial coconut builds, send them. Send them my way. And what I'll do, if anybody's interested too, and the creators are interested in me sharing, like R&B, if you're interested in sharing the deck list, which is, you know, kind of here now, I'll post it in the notes to this show, so people can start taking a look at some initial builds. Be super fun. Amber, Emerald, Steel Song incoming. Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like Amber, we have an Emerald, Amber, kind of Steel Song, and then we have, you know, you have Amber, Steel Song, and now you just mash them together, which is absolutely nuts. Yeah, Jeebus says, would scam Snow White so hard if you hit all the copies of one of the dwarfs. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. There are some cards now which, yeah, like banish that and everything that shares a name with that card. Um, yeah, it's super fun. All right, what else we got? There's some other cards here because I haven't looked at all these. Winnie the Pooh, like Winnie the Pooh, I think is kind of fun. Um, what I like about Winnie the Pooh is I feel like it's a meme, and it cracks me up. Basically, Winnie the Pooh says if there's a vanilla card, uh, whenever you play it, you can pay 1 to draw a card. So it's just continually drawing cards. What I love about Winnie the Pooh is I think it's a meme. I think it was created to be a meme because for those who were around when Winnie the Pooh was printed way back in Rise of the Floodborn, we saw the art for Winnie the Pooh and everybody was like, my goodness, that is one of the best cards, one of the best pieces of art that's ever been created for this game. It's Winnie the Pooh as a wizard. It's John Lauren. This card's bananas. And then we saw it and we looked at its ability. It was a vanilla card. And people were legit angry about this card. They were legit angry that there was art this good on a vanilla card. And I feel like they created, they put Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard here and they created a card that cares about vanillas as an ability, simply to like tongue-in-cheek joke about that time period. Because the deck basically wants like all vanilla characters and it's making vanilla characters good. And I think it is hilarious. I think it's hilarious. It might, like, it's kind of a boring deck to me, but it's so funny that I love that it exists. Goon's costume, draw a card, yeah. Wonderland, was that you? Like you were that one of those mad folks. Newring, by the way, I didn't say this earlier. Thanks for the follow, Newring. I appreciate you very much. Appreciate everybody who follows and subs and all that. Like it really helps out a lot. So thank you. Some other cards here. I'll admit I haven't looked at all of these just yet. I saw a lot of them at Indie, but there's some that I've been missing. So, take a look here. Sisu, all characters with more strength than each opposing character can quest the turn that they're played. Whoa. That's okay. So Sisu is another card. I'm just working my way across now. Like Sisu is a really fun card to me because it's one of those that like on its face isn't inherently busted like Mickey Mouse or let's say Ursula, but because the ability is tricky, right? Because it's a multiplayer game and your character has to have more strength than every opposing character, but then you can build your whole deck with like these crazy, like, 7 4s and you've got scars in there and all of that. And as you search through like the Disney Lorcana archives now, you can find probably some really well statted high strength cards that you're going to throw in there. And you can create this really weird like aggro deck that I think is hilarious. Scar works really well with this, right? Because Scar, his ability to ready him, he can still quest, right? So you can challenge, quest, ready, challenge. I don't know. That is a card that strikes me as inherently fair. That's like super fun to build around. I don't know. Speaking of Sisu, John Viveris, you can read all the coconuts are here. This is all of them. Yeah, so, we've talked about some of these already. Tinkerbell, whenever one of the other abilities or actions deals damage to an opposing character, deal 1 damage to that character. That seems like a super fun card to build around. Basically, everything deals an extra 1 damage, which is super cool. Now, it doesn't deal an extra 1 damage, right? Because anything with a resist, it says deal 1 damage as a separate ability. So if you have resist, you're dealing whatever damage, and then you're dealing an extra damage. So it doesn't like get over resist. The resist would like impact both, I feel like. But that's super fun. It's super giant fairy flavor, and yeah, kind of love it. So also super fun to build around with like pingers and grab your sword now deals 3. So yeah, fun card. I do hope, as a random note I mentioned earlier, like from an art perspective, you can see what they've done is they've taken the standard art cards and they've just like tweaked them a little bit and then done this. But I do hope that one day we see physical coconut cards, and I do hope that once beta is over, like we can get the artwork actually to fill in that ink symbol, because the coconut cards won't need an ink symbol, and so we get a little extra art there in the corner. Perhaps you put a little coconut in there. I suppose you wouldn't need to. I also hope, by the way, sorry, Eric, but get an iconic and then come back and let me know when you hit an iconic, and then you can come back and thank me. I had another coconut. I hope the name coconut sticks. By the way, coconut there's this debate online earlier I was having with some folks. Like, coconut is like the beta test name of the format. Consider the coconut. There's all sorts of reasons why, like yada yada. But the name may change if the format actually moves out of beta and becomes more supported. They might actually create a name for it. I really like the name coconut because to me it feels very organic and real. If they were to come out with a name which is like, I don't know, hero format or I don't know, like character lead format, it would feel like it's trying too hard for me. And I love the organic nature when things just develop names on their own for fun reasons. Like Blurple is a really fun name for a color combo because I don't know, it's just really fun. Rust to me is another fun name because they're kind of organic and they don't feel forced. Like Yurple feels forced. Like people are like, oh, we have Blurple, so we're gonna have Yurple. Deck names like Kiwi Birds, super fun name. Why is it Kiwi Birds? There's no reason for it. It's random, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it organic. That's what makes it feel real. And so coconuts to me is just like, I know it was created as kind of a placeholder and kind of a joke. But to me, it's just super fun. It's like different. And I love that we're going to have to explain to people who join the game, why is this format called coconuts? It doesn't matter. You don't need to know. Like, what? It doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to be fun. And so I love it. Anyway, I'm going with that. Definitely need more villain coconut cards, Dragonia says. Yeah, I agree. People love villains. And if there's... you'd love to see more villains here. Agree with you. But, one of the reasons... I think what they have done with the coconut cards, by the way, they've done a good job at picking cards from various eras. Probably could do with some more older... I mean, you do have Dumbo and Snow White for classic cards, I guess. But you have plenty of Renaissance cards. You have some newer cards. But they're all... The other thing with the coconut cards is they're clearly built to represent what that original card does. And so it's not like you took a random character and you're like, okay, we want, Scar, so let's like come up with a random ability related to Scar. Like the card, the ability of the coconut is very clearly related to the original card ability, and so which is kind of great. So I'm sure that there's all sorts of reasons that these coconuts were picked, but I don't know. None of them feel forced to me. Other than maybe having to have a Mickey, It feels very much like they were designed with their abilities in mind. So John Silver's talking about, somebody's talking about John Silver locations. Let's see, each of your locations gain resist +1 for each character there. Oof. That could be busted. That could be busted. The one thing, so John Silver and the items deck are examples of you're gonna want to like know your play group, right? Like there are... What's the card that like banishes all locations? Is that Freeze Divine? No. No. What's the card that banishes all locations? The Armageddon of Disney Lorcana. Like, that card is like no good most of the time. And in a singleton format, like, do you want to waste a slot on that card? You know, maybe not. But if you're playing John Silver, like, you almost got to have it in there as like an out. So like, it is interesting because it's one of those things where like knowing your play group, if you have a group of friends who plays this as an like, let's say this format, you know, you engage in it pretty seriously with like friends in an LGS and you have a play group, and you know there's that one person, you know, who loves to play John Silver, and like half the time he's playing John Silver, like, you're gonna start working that card into your deck, right? Avalanche, okay. You're gonna work that card into your deck, and you're gonna want to have that available, and you're gonna want to, you know, throw that in there because you need to have it. So that's, I don't know. That's the other thing about these formats is like, there are like, knowing your play group is going to adjust like what you play in your deck, because there's certain tech cards which you're going to work in because you know that Ryan loves to play the item deck, and if you don't have any item hate, you're going to lose pretty quickly. So there you go. Shifting Giant Mickey on turn 2 feels like it'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's the thing too, like about that's the thing about Katie, your comment confused me. I have to address it in a second. That's one of the things about this format too that we have to mention is like, oftentimes the point in a game, yes, you want to win. Yes, you're playing to win. You're advancing your win condition because that's what each deck is designed to do. It's built to get 25 lore some way, shape, or form. But sometimes in these multiplayer games, the point is just to do something like fun. And if you get to do the fun thing, you feel like you have won in a way, even without winning the game. And like shifting a Giant Mickey on turn 2 is just like one of those experiences, like one of those dopamine rushes, which if you do it and you get everybody at the table to groan and go, oh man, you know, and that's really cool, and gasp or whatever. Like, whether or not you win the game, like, it still matters, but because you got to do the cool thing, you still feel like you won in a way. And that's the fun thing about this format, is sometimes just doing the busted thing and getting your deck to do what it was designed to do is reward enough, even if you don't take first place. Katie, you say, I'm in you're in Indianapolis, you've looked everywhere and you can't find me. Clear this some kind of mistake. Yeah. I'm just a newborn. I can't go to Gen Con. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really sad. But hey, by the way, if anybody out there is at Gen Con, just a small segue, ad break. If anybody's at Gen Con or knows somebody at Gen Con, I desperately need a copy of The Great Honey Rescue, like, as soon as possible, to like bust it open and review on the channel and take a look at it and the parts and the pieces. And so if anybody is there or knows somebody there, and you can secure a Great Honey Rescue for me and then ship it to me like soon, like at Gen Con, I would appreciate it so much. So put out the word. I'm willing to pay for rush shipping and whatever, and send you a big thank you. I've got extra coconuts here I can send you. I'll autograph this coconut and send it to you. But I really need a Great Honey Rescue as soon as possible for video purposes. So help. There we go. Vader, thanks for stopping by. Good night. Like shifting the potato, you do it for the fun. Yeah, 100%. 100%. By the way, Scotty, did you see the potato stickers I got for anybody who accepted the potato challenge? They were really cute. It's an exerted potato that says, yes, I'm just a potato. So this is what everybody who accepted the potato challenge for the pre-release gets. I've got to mail them out soon. So hopefully I'm able to do that over the next few days. I'm going to look at more coconut cards. Dumbo says you may use the exert abilities of your characters the turn that they're played. That's another card which can let you do some really fun stuff. And the thing, like, man, I mentioned this with Snow White earlier, but the thing, like, with Dumbo and other cards, or like Sisu, where it cares about cards with like probably lower cost with like higher strength, is like if this format becomes popular and you build a Dumbo deck and you have a Dumbo deck on the shelf and it's a card that you like to play, like every set that comes out, you're looking for cards with activated ability or with with activated abilities, and you're like you're I don't know, and as soon as you see a card which like slots in your Dumbo deck, you're like, okay, I'm in, like I can't wait to get that card so I can put it in. So like it makes different cards matter for different people, and like I just love that. I'm a big fan. Let's see, Stitch Rockstar. Once during your turn, you may play a character with cost 2 or less from your hand for free. If you have a character named Stitch in play, you may play a character with cost 2 or less for free from your discard for reinstall. Oh my goodness. That's nuts. So with Stitch Rockstar's ability, it's play a 2-cost card for free, exert it, draw a card. If it's 2 cost, play it for free, exert it, draw a card. If it's 2 cost, play it for free, exert it, draw a card forever. That's fun. Stitch is bonkers. Scardy says 11:30 my time. It is my time too. I should be going to bed as well. But good night. Thanks for hanging out. Always a pleasure, Scotty. Always a pleasure. And I think you've earned one of these potato stickers, if I'm not mistaken. So I will hopefully have that out to you in the near future. Hopefully, if I can get my stuff together, because I got videos to record and it's crazy life and a newborn. So Donald Duck I really like too. Fred Honeywell, you may pay 1 less for boost abilities. Super fun card. And another example of a card where if you build this Donald Duck Fred Honeywell deck with its boost mechanic, every time a new set comes out and you see cards with boost, you're gonna be like, what can I slot in? So yeah, and it's another example too of where I really like this rule of being able to include 4 of the source card or the coconut card in the deck, because it strengthens the identity of the deck and almost ensures that you're going to find the base copy of that card during the game. And yeah, and so that makes it really cool. Like we talked about with Ursula, we can talk about it again with Fred Honeywell, a card that boosts extra cards whenever you're boosting a character. Like, I don't know, it just makes the identity of the deck stronger, and I really kind of like that. And I think that's an elegant alternative to the commander rule. And for those who aren't familiar, when you play commander in Magic, your commander is always available, and you can pay its in cost. There's an ink tax and yada yada, but basically the card's always available for you to play at any time. And this is kind of an interesting way to kind of get close to that without having that rule where with 4 copies of the card in a singleton format, if you alter aggressively for it and you're seeing 14 cards or whatever, and then the game goes on a little while, so you're going to see, let's say, 20 cards over the course of most games, you're almost guaranteed to find one of those 4 copies. And I don't know, and that's a ton of fun. So it's kind of like an elegant alternative, I think, to the guaranteed commander out there, is ensuring that you're gonna find one eventually, especially with a little extra card draw. Jeremy, good evening. We're talking about coconuts this evening, so if you have any thoughts on the format, super interested. Andrew says it also makes it feel different than commander type format clones. Yeah, I agree. And I said this earlier, but for anybody who's shown up, like, I know commander has a lot of baggage for some people. There's some people who absolutely love it, and there's some people for whom commander kind of changed the culture of and the set design of Magic in a way that people didn't care for. Fungus was making this point earlier. I think Eric was as well. They just didn't care for the way commander changed the game. So, yeah. So I understand that baggage. And so for that reason, there have been a number of different formats which people have worked on in Lorcana to kind of replicate Commander, because there's a lot of things that Commander did very well. There's a lot of reasons that it's super popular. But it always, and so I applaud the Heroic community, by the way. I've played Heroic. I enjoy it. It's a really fun format. But it just genuinely feels like unoriginal and kind of like boring to almost directly knock off that format and to just take it and lift it into Disney Lorcana. It's like taking something that people found kind of in Magic that some people didn't care for and bringing it into a game which a lot of people love the way it is right now, and it didn't feel right. And so to me, this is an elegant way of kind of like taking some of the things that were enjoyable about that format, the multiplayer aspect of it, the singleton format of it, which leads to all sorts of crazy games and different games, but then putting a Lorcana spin on it and not looking like you're directly knocking off that format. And I think it's really nice. Yermi says, I worry about how long time will be between turns since there's nothing instant as with Magic. Yes, that is a concern, I think, in multiplayer Lorcana. I'll be honest, my favorite way to play Lorcana up until this point has been a 2v2, but with the two-headed like Hydra Dragon variant where both players play at the same time. And so you're just generally back and forth, and it kind of gets around some of that problem. But yes, I agree that is a challenge in these multiplayer games without instant speed interaction. So there is nothing to be done about it other than to sit back, relax, and enjoy the experience of joking around with people and playing. But I don't know. As long as people take their turns at good pace, perhaps it won't be that bad. But certainly it is a concern because you're generally not doing anything in your opponent's turns. The one thing though, I will say in terms of like the sitting and waiting and all that, one of the things that Disney Lorcana does differently than Magic, where it's like last person standing wins, is in any Commander game or multiplayer game and other TCGs where last person standing wins because you're trying to knock out your opponents, there's always somebody who gets like knocked out in turn like 4 or 5, who then has to sit there and watch everybody else play for the next hour. I mean, you don't have the problem in Disney Lorcana where whoever gets to 21st wins. Of course, you can do this thing where like you can play for second place. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, by the way, in multiplayer, where like somebody gets to 25 and you're like, okay, now let's see who gets to 25 next. Yeah. The other thing about this format, by the way, the difference in Commander is it plays best like 3 or 4 people, but you can play 3 people. You can play 5 people if you wanted. You can play 6. You could play 80 people in this format, right? There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Where Commander is very specifically, a Commander pod is 4 people. The downside, of course, is that the more people you have, like once you get to 5 and 6, it really starts to drag between turns. But if you're a family of 5, 2 parents, 3 kids, and you want to play this format, you can play with 5 people. So, nothing's stopping you there. Or 3. You can play with 3. It works just well. You can actually play 1v1 as well. There's nothing stopping you, even though it's designed as a multiplayer format, there's nothing stopping you from playing 1v1 with this. So, which is kind of crazy. Agent Rose, thanks for the subscription on YouTube. The one fun thing about the subscriptions on YouTube right now is somebody could be subscribing. The way this multi-stream platform I've got is integrated, somebody could be subscribing like to a YouTube video from ages ago, and it just pops up here. So, but nevertheless, I appreciate any subscriptions, and one day I'll fix it so we don't get double notifications up there. Yeah, super fun. Yeah, Wonderland saying, we made this point earlier, but it's worth repeating, that Commander was great until Wizards started making things for it. Yeah, it did kind of... it did kind of ruin the format, right? Like where It was a fan format. It was a lot of fun. And the fun thing about it was finding cards that weren't designed to be used in this multiplayer format and doing busted things with them. And as soon as the company started creating cards, and everybody knew, they were like, you saw this card come out and you're like, all right, that's designed as a commander card. It ruined what made the format kind of special. I think that is danger here, of course. What you don't like to see, to be honest, is you do not like to see cards. What we don't want to see is cards printed very clearly for this format that impact the core constructed in Infinity set design, right? Like I made this point at the start of the video. It's very in response to something Fungus said earlier, but it's very difficult to create a cohesive set that works together for core constructed that feels like a real solid set that makes sense. And then you have to consider Infinity now and how the set and the cards printed are going to impact Infinity. And they're also trying to create a limited experience. And if the game designers are also now trying to squeeze in cards that are very clearly designed for this coconut format, then you risk doing too much and it could impact the feel of the set. But one thing I will also say is one thing I will say is this, because I know people are going to see this. I know I can see it already. It's going to happen. In fact, I'm going to call it right now. You're going to see people making these comments when we see Hyperion City cards come out. Anytime we see a card now that says all players or all opponents do a thing, somebody is going to say, well, they clearly created this for, they clearly created this for coconut format. No, we've seen in set 1, we saw Steal from the Rich that said all opponent, something all opponents. We've seen cards that say all opponents or all players all the way back since the first chapter. So no. If we see cards that say all players, it does not mean that they designed it for this format. We've seen those for ages. So, yeah, Wonderland saying, I'm happy with the cards that I invested in for Heroic. Yeah, I mean, if this format takes off, you picked all the right cards, for sure. Andrew says over on YouTube, 3-ink format is always fun to allow outside the box thinking. Like Donald, I always wanted for Amber Ruby and could never have it. Now you can. Yeah, there's all sorts of fun synergy. And that's an interesting point too. With this format and with the card pool constantly expanding, they did not have to make a 3-ink color restriction. It could have been 2. It wouldn't have worked. It does become a little bit more tricky having a 2-ink restriction in this format with cards like Mickey Mouse, which care about other cards named Mickey Mouse. Having 3 colors clearly opens up a lot more options. I don't think you could do Mickey Mouse. You probably couldn't do Mickey Mouse in just 2 colors. You definitely, you could, right? Because you don't have to have all Mickey Mouses, but it wouldn't be as fun. But for sure, 3 colors opens up a lot more opportunities for creative deck building, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, 3 inks is what makes it a good time. Yeah, I agree. Jeebus says set 1 7 cost Ursula is a prime example of a multiplayer forward card. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, great example. Yeah, great example. Was it all opponents lose 1 lore? Is it that Ursula? Yeah. And that was one of the things that I really, really enjoyed. I shouldn't say enjoyed about something. That was a dumb thing to say. Dumb way to put it, but I appreciated in set 1 when we saw those cards. It was this card is clearly not great in 1v1, or it's not super great. Steal from the Rich is another example. Not great, right? You got that card in a starter deck, and you're like why is this in a single player deck, a starter deck in the first chapter? But now that there's this multiplayer format, which hopefully more people are going to be playing, these cards make sense. And so yeah, forward thinking, absolutely, really appreciate it. Oh yeah, and draw 1 card for each lore that you reduce. So yeah, so in a 3-player game, that Ursula now says reduce 1 lore all opponents, and as long as everybody has 1 lore, you draw 3 cards. Play a character Play a well-statted character, draw 3 cards, everybody else loses lore. Fantastic card. Forward thinking. Great point. Yeah. Eric, you sent me a note, you said. Hold on. Do you have more deck lists? Did you send me a deck list, Eric? Oh no, you just sent me Judy. Okay, so Eric says, sorry if you were here for a while. Eric earlier was like, hey, my son now wants to open a box of Whispers in the Well. I blame you. And I was like, send me a note when you hit an iconic. It's not an iconic, but it's still pretty darn good. I love the art on this card. Congratulations. There's a time this card was like $30 or $40, and now it's gone up because the art, I think, is just so good. So, super awesome. Congrats, man. Yeah, you can blame me. See? There you go. Anybody else have any, like, coconut deck lists that you want to share? R&B sent me one earlier. I know a lot of you were working on them. But let's see. Oh yeah, sorry, Reginald, you sent it in the chat here. Sorry, my bad. I got you. By the way, Katie, I just got a note. Somebody's saying my microphone. Does this? Is this the right mic? Fungus, yes, 60 card decks. Well, now I'm super worried that my microphone isn't set to the right one. Okay, it's not finding me, says Fair Green Tank. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm streaming from the right microphone. Alright. Well, we're already down this path. Okay, hold on. I got this necklace from Reginald. Really excited. Reginald, by the way, I hope life is going well with the newborn and that you're getting plenty of sleep. Because I'm not. Because I'm doing irresponsible things like streaming instead of sleeping. Alright. Let's get this deck list up. I can't, Reginald, it's not letting me cut and paste from Streamlabs. This is really annoying. Let's see, edit, copy. Yes, Fungus, 60 card decks. Obviously you can have more, but 60 cards, alright, download. I do love how all these like deck building platforms and stuff are now not, it's just like singleton decks are not what they do well, you know. Okay, hold on. All right, get this over here. All right. So R&B sent a deck list earlier. Hiram Flavisham items deck. I hear Reginald sent over. This looks like a John Silver location deck. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I do not know some of these cards well enough to immediately diagnose this, but include a lot of locations. Hey, any deck that you can play Kuzco's Palace in and have it make sense, I'm all about. For those who don't remember, John Silver, let's give you some context here. John Silver is a card that says, each of your locations gain resist +1 for each character there. So, the goal of that deck would be, get a bunch of locations in play, or even one location, just one well-statted location, and just stack a whole bunch of characters on it, and just sit back. And your opponent, if you don't have location removal, it's very, very difficult to remove if you've got a location out there with like resist 4, resist 5, or something nuts. So that deck says play locations, put characters on them, call it a day. And yeah, it seems like what you're doing here. Although, kind of light. Well, how many characters do you have here? Because there's a lot of... Well, I guess it makes sense. You got card draw here, Winter Spell there. Islands I pulled from the sea, obviously. The balloons. Super fun. Reginald, did you do this at Indie? And if you didn't, how long after the format was announced did you have a deck list ready? Because that any announcement of like anything where it immediately sends people to their computers and they're like start jamming out deck list is like, I don't know, it makes me happy. Inspiring that creativity. That's super fun. Body Matt says, just got home, what did I miss? We've been talking about coconuts. We've been talking about coconuts, this new format. Looking at some deck lists and talking about the different coconuts. Reginald, thanks for sending this over. This is super, super fun. Yeah, made it today by 12 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah. No, this is super fun. I appreciate you sending it over. Yeah, John Silver seems like you can do some pretty crazy stuff with it, and it's, I don't know, super fun. I'm trying to see any of these others that like really stand out to me as really busted. That Stitch, like, I don't know, that Stitch is absolutely nuts. Stringing together card draw, play for free, card draw, play for free. Like, just flood the board. Scar says, during your turn, you may pay one less for the first ally character you play. Again, another card that seems pretty fair, right? Like, this is, I look at cards like Stitch, or Ariel, John Silver, and I can see very quickly how those cards can be absolutely busted and how you can do some crazy things. And then I look at cards like Scar, or Sisu, and I'm like, okay, that seems fair. You know, Scar, you can fill up your deck with allies. Obviously, you're cheating them into play early, but it doesn't say all allies cost one less. It says once during your turn, you may pay one less for the first ally character you play. So like once during your turn, you know, discount an ally, and that seems fair, you know. And so I kind of like that. So yeah, so I mean, even here you're seeing just all sorts of power levels where, you know, somebody playing, you know, Stitch, you get a Rockstar Stitch in play and you can like just play your whole deck and it's kind of nuts. Or John Silver, where you stack everything up in a location, nothing your opponent can do, and then you see cards like, you know, that are mid power level. And so yeah, one of the things I said up front, I know there's a lot more people here now, but one of the things I said up front is, we have to get used to the idea that there's not parity in this format. The same way with Commander, the same way with Disney Arcana's Villainous. Like, it is perfectly okay for these decks to have different power levels, and for everybody to just take that into consideration with your play group, you know? And especially as people that get deck building here, there are going to be a couple of these cards which are considered, you know, it's like playing Odd Job in Goldeneye, I said earlier. There's going to be certain cards here that are considered like incredibly unfair because people are going to find ways to break them pretty quickly. And that's totally fine. It just means that when you sit down to play with the play group, or, you know, that everybody kind of agrees on the power level or acknowledges that somebody's playing Mickey Mouse, or, you know, and that, yeah, and that you account for that. So, all right, a couple other things to look at here. Mufasa says once per game. Once per game. So it's one shot. During your turn, you may pay 5 ink to put the top 3 cards of your deck into your inkwell face down and inserted. Again, I like this card a lot. I really, really like this. I love the idea of some of these coconuts having this, like, I've got a one-time advantage that I can use, and I've got to time it properly. I've got to get the resources to do it, and that's, you know, it's not I can do anything in perpetuity. It's not all cards in my deck get a thing. It's like, this card gives me the ability to do one thing one time, and the whole point of my deck is finding out the optimal moment to squeeze that advantage in. I would love a card, you know, that says, that basically does a once per game you may wipe the board, you know, once per game you may banish all characters. Like, there's all sorts of fun opportunities that opens up. The Mufasa one's interesting though, like, because I would like to see cards to say once per game you may do a thing, which then has a very clear synergy built into it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example, and I can't because it's late. All right. Moana says, once your turn, if you have Moana, Heihei, or Pua in play, you may ink an additional card. Okay. So that's like, yeah, doing the Moana thing. You know, manipulating ink well a little bit, but making it conditional. I also like that a lot. So, yeah, I really think that this is a solid stable of initial cards because you have a variety of flavors here. You have some that are incredibly powerful. You have some that are very conditional, and you have some which do a once per game ability. And what I love about this is the game design team, Ravensburger, the community, are going to get to see how each like flavor of these coconuts is played, how well it works, how powerful they are, and I just think it's really cool. I also think kudos to the Disney Lorcana team and Ravensburger for developing the Disney Lorcana app in such a way that it allows this to happen. There are not many other TCGs which have a companion app, which I think is as useful as the Disney Lorcana app. That the preponderance of the player base, I would argue, probably has on their phone, and that allows you to roll out things like this. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan. Bottomat says news earlier, but the real fun at Gen Con looks like it's hands-on. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really jealous of you all at Gen Con who get to play, this game. I will say, because this is going to be demoed there and all that, and they're going to have decks available to play, but initially when I saw the announcement, I didn't think that this was going to be the format demo there, because it had this whole thing about bringing your own deck, and I was like, well, you can't, right? Because like if you don't know it's a singleton format and that you have to design around certain cards, like it doesn't make sense to bring your own deck if you don't know the rules. So I really appreciate another thing I really appreciate the rollout of this format because it's done early enough that I think people can now deck build as we've seen people already are, and actually go to Gen Con with decks built for this format and get to play it and test it out in a setting where people have access to these demo decks which are already pre-built. So I don't know, really big. I just love everything about this. Big fan. Coconut John with White Agony Plains will give the location +1 lore and resist and +1 resist per character on it. Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited to see people continue to deck build for this. Are there any others that you all are super excited about here? Any that you see and you're like, man, that's gonna be busted. I do think Ariel's a ton of fun as well. It's super flavorful, It really invites you to just build a deck full of princesses and songs and just have princesses sing songs all game. And to me, that's flavor. That's super fun. One says, seriously debating to build a deck tonight before we play out tomorrow. I mean, yeah, that's... I'm sorry it happened so late. Yeah, everybody flying to Gen Con. Safe travels, and yeah, if you do, Lauren, let me know. I'm interested in what you build, but yeah, that's a tough thing, right? The timing. Interesting pairing different Duel Links. Yeah, Newring says I do think that's gonna be super fun. The triple ink combo allows for some really fun synergies that you just aren't able to execute in the standard constructed formats, and so again, it's another thing that this format brings to bear, which I'm super excited about. Rudy just got home from work. Shout out to Moonlight Inc. So close to close out the night. Yeah. And kudos to Heather, I think, who came up with this name, or a group of us did a while ago. It does. I'm not able to stream like any other time of the day. If I stream, it's going to be at like 9 or 10 p.m. and it's going to be like to midnight, and it's just going to be a nice chill, lo-fi, I don't know, reflection on the day, because it's just where I am in my life and what I can do. You know, work, parenting, toddlers. It is what it is. Mr. Wu-Tang Alaska says, just got my super deck built. So did you build a super deck for this? Like a Mr. Incredible Supers deck for this format? Already? Super cool. Andrew Buzz says, a lot for everything. I like Winnie the Pooh for my daughter who's still learning. It's super simple to understand. So that's another great point, Andrew. Like, sorry, I keep calling it. Yeah, it is Andrew. AJ, Andrew, Steven, Justin. It's a lot of names. Oh my goodness, Fungus just sent me a list. I'm about to pull this up. Yeah, that's another great point. Like, this is a super fun and like low threat way to teach somebody how to play the game. Multiplayer formats are, frankly, a lot less intimidating than 1v1 formats for teaching people to play, especially kids. You know, you can sit them down. You know, there's plenty of people playing. It's a less serious format where you can, like, coach people. And yeah, some of these coconuts are built with a really, really simple rule set that allow you to... allow people who are still learning the game to execute that rule set really easily. Winnie the Pooh is, as you said, AJ, Andrew, like a great example of a card where it's like, if you build the deck with all vanilla cards, so people get used to the idea that, hey, all of these cards, except for like these two, when you play this character, you can play one and you can draw a card, and it's super simple to understand. Some of these others are a little more complicated, but yeah, big fan. Fungus says, bend to my will and ink geyser in this format will make you lose friends. Any card that says whenever someone does X, cards go way up in value regardless of what the condition is for the most part. Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. It's like, yeah, 100% agree. And we saw that in, you know, when Commander came to Magic, and yeah, I'm pulling up this deck list. Yeah, so the ink geyser thing is a funny comment. Fungus, because in and I didn't play a ton of Commander in Magic. I watched a lot of Game Nights. Game Nights, one of my favorite shows on YouTube, but it's a Commander-based show. But I didn't play a ton. But one of the things I do know is that it's a general, like, general etiquette. It's like a general rule that you don't play land destruction. Right? Like, Armageddon is one of those things that, like, you just don't do. You don't destroy people's lands. Like, it's just not, at least in mass, right? Because people want to play the game. It's rude. And I feel like Ink Geyser falls into the vein of land destruction, where, yeah. So, all right, Fungus, I'm pulling this up. Hold on. Chat integration's giving me problems. These are fungus colors here. A sentence which out of context sounds awesome. All right, this will be the third deck list we've brought up tonight for anybody looking to get inspiration for their own build. All right, so Fungus is bringing in some of his standard colors here. Whatever, you all can see you all can see the tabs I've opened. Fungus is bringing in some standard colors here. You know, green and blue, what you're known for. Splashing in some red here. We got some control, be prepared. Which I feel like in any format. Yeah, Jeeva's very kindly saying it doesn't really destroy them. They just go back to hand, so they have extra cards to play. They're a gift. They're a gift. Which is super funny. Yeah, I do think, and in every multiplayer game that I've played in Disney Lorcana, there always comes a moment where you're like praying that somebody has a board wipe in their deck. Because that is the thing in Disney Lorcana is when somebody has aggressively pushed their lord at a certain point, all they're doing is playing ready characters and then just waiting for their turn and they're gonna win the game or whatever. But there's always a moment where you're sitting here like, is somebody playing Be Prepared? Like, can we just answer that question right now? Does somebody have Raging Storm or Be Prepared in their deck so I can hang it up now, or do we have an out? So I always appreciate when somebody at the table is playing Be Prepared, because it just means there's a reset button, and you want there to be a reset button at the table. There's a lot of mean cards in here. Oswald, there's some cards that are just like bonkers power level in Disney Lorcana, and Fungus, you put a lot of them in here. You have Clarabelle, you've got Diablo, you've got the Cinderella, the Oswald. So a ton of items here. And then splashing in the Ruby for some serious control. I've forgotten what that Wreck-It Ralph does. I gotta take a look at that. Ink Geyser and Bend. Man, Ink Geyser is mean. Bend is mean. Ink Geyser plus Bend in the same turn is just like is rude. Yeah, this is fun. I love all the usual suspects who've gravitated towards like items and yeah, it's super fun to me that like people have taken their play style and like core constructed what they're known for and just like immediately moved that way in this format. So yeah, Source of the Vine is rude, says Eric. Yeah. Prince John's Mirror also does gross in this format, most likely. Yeah, probably. Probably. Yeah, it hadn't occurred to me though. There's certain cards which you immediately are like, oh, that's gonna be bad. Prince John play once at the end of each opponent's turn, then max the cards and they discard it. Yeah, okay. This card's just mean. You have all the mean cards in this deck. I actually really love this card in this. I love that this card exists. This is an example, another like forward-thinking card, which, again, it says each opponent, and it's a really forward-thinking card because it's one of those cards that like, again, if this format becomes super popular and everybody plays it, this is one of those cards that like Ristic Study or whatever in Commander that hits the table and everybody groans and they go, ugh. Because everybody's gonna get hit with it once. Like as soon as you play it, it basically says, well, no, it's the end of the turn, so everybody it is gonna impact everybody once, but I don't know. I just love this card exists for multiplayer formats. That's super fun to me. I gotta remind myself, hold on, what does Wreck-It do? Yeah, okay. Good board wipe. Excuse me. So you got the ramp, you got the stuff. Yeah. Super fun. Super fun. Is Hiram banned already? No! Hiram is legal. The Toymaker is back. The Vive, Dragon, Medusa, etc. a lot worse. Yeah. Yeah. JFace907AK says new to this kind of format, so forgive me if the question is silly already asked. The coconut is always in play. Yes. So thanks for asking the question, and I realize we've covered a lot of ground already in terms of the rules. So if you're just getting here and you're not familiar with this format or the rules of this particular format, you're like, what is coconut? What are you all talking about? Please ask the question. We'll address it. But yes, the coconut card is always in play. So it's always impacting your deck. But it's not I guess it's not right to think of it as in play because it can't be affected by anything. It is just the coconut card is a condition. It's a rule that applies to your deck in perpetuity. And so that effect, cannot be removed. It can't be banished or whatever. That card is there. But it's not in play the way that other cards are in play. The other thing to consider, or the other note, is these coconut cards, do share art and a name and a type with another Disney Lorcana card. And so this is art that we all recognize from other popular Disney Lorcana cards, but the ability on that card is different. And so the Ariel Spectacular Singer ability of the coconut card is distinct from the Ariel Spectacular Singer card ability itself. They're the same name, same type, whatever, but they're two different cards. Yeah, but the Ariel Spectacular Singer coconut ability is always active. It always is affecting your deck. While the original Ariel Spectacular Singer you have to find and play, and it's in to do its thing and all that. So, Signed Contract, Fungus is also probably pretty good. I know what these cards do, but it's late. Double check. Whenever opponent plays a song, you may draw a card. Yep, super good. It's like Ristic Study, right? It just sits there all game. Again, Signed Contract is one of those cards that is going to be... Okay, there are certain cards in Commander that are auto-includes in any deck. Certain ramp cards. It's almost a joke. Soul Ring, it's in every deck. It has to be in every deck. It's just so good, it's an auto-include. And so the interesting thing about Commander is that even though you have, tens of thousands of cards in Magic to choose from, and in theory, you have 100 different cards you can play, in reality, most of the time, there's a large number of cards which are already spoken for in your deck list, right? So what I mean by that is, in Commander, you can build a 100-card deck, but you're always going to include a Soul Ring. You're always going to include a Soul Ring. And a Soul Ring is a card, for those that aren't familiar. It's a 1-cost artifact, and you can exert it, tap it, to produce 2 mana, 2 ink, 2 resources. So it ramps you very, very early, and it's just a very good card. Turn 1 Soul Ring is a very good card. So in reality, the number of cards that you have to play with in your Commander deck are fewer than 100. And this is true of certain lands. As soon as you're in a particular color, there's certain cards which are almost auto-includes. I'm glad you pointed out Signed Contract to me, Fungus, because Signed Contract to me is a card that is an auto-include in the Coconut format in any Emerald deck. If you play Emerald, this card is so good to me that how realistically, if a game goes 7, 8, 9 turns, how many times do you think Signed Contract is activating? You're getting at least, it's at least replacing itself, if not getting you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. And if you're playing against a deck like Ariel, which is built around songs, they're going to be playing multiple songs a turn. And so you're actively punishing them for pursuing their win condition. So again, the fun thing about this format, it's so fresh, it's new, but as it develops, there are going to be certain cards which are just absolutely must includes in every single deck of a certain ink color, and Signed Contract is one of them. You have to play it. You have to play it. It's like Ristic Study. Why would you not play it, you know what I mean? It's so good. So good. Nobody likes a rug player. That's so funny. Heather, I'll pull yours up in just a second. Colorless cards dominate, yeah. Commander played at the highest power level is just Xerox, basically give or take 20 cards. Yeah, that's why EDH doesn't make sense to me. Commander, to me by definition, is a casual format. EDH, or CEDH, I'm sorry, competitive EDH or competitive Commander just doesn't make, and don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. The same way, like to me, this format, there, people will make this competitive, and there will be tournaments of it, and etc. And I think that's great. That's fun. Whatever. But I think that this format is generally a casual format. It's a fantastic way to play the game. People should do league nights around it. Maybe people should play it. I just don't think that this format, because of the inherent power differences between the coconut cards, and for a variety of reasons, it's not really designed to be a competitive format. I don't think, even though it could be. You could play it that way. Anyway. Ink amplifier cruise. All right, ink amplifier. Is that in here? Yeah. Whenever an opponent draws a card during their turn, if it's the second card they've drawn this turn, you may put the top card of your deck in your ink while face down and exerted. So this is another card which it's almost not to include, except in a singleton format. Anytime you're pulling off the top of your deck and inking cards, like you run the risk of getting rid of a single combo piece that you want. And I do think when you have a 100-card singleton deck, it discourages you, I think, from relying on very specific combo pieces or very specific cards that you want to see in a game. Although in Magic there's so many different tutor effects, and for those who aren't familiar, a tutor effect is a card that allows you to search your deck for a specific card and put it in your hand. And so it adds to the consistency of particular decks and allows you to ensure that you have specific combo pieces during games. We don't have those in Disney Arcana, but with a 60-card deck and enough draw effects, you're relatively likely to be able to find certain combo pieces that you need. The one danger to Ink Amplifier is in a singleton format, you're going to burn a bunch of individual cards. But it is another card like Signed Contract where you're going to get so much value off of this because it's going to hit so many times. Imagine a turn. Goodness gracious. Even if you play this on turn 3, right, and if it hits once before your next turn, you've already ramped 1 and you're like accelerating. If you hit twice, like if you play Ink Amplifier on 3 and it hits twice before your next turn, like it's already done its job, and then it's just sitting there for the rest of the game and like just continuing to offer value. And it's a May ability, right? So yeah, these are fun includes. Anytime, yeah, you said this earlier. Anytime you have a card that says, whenever an opponent does X, you may do a thing. In general, super good. This one, also super good, right? Breakdown. Whenever this item is banished, you may return an item card with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. Like, normally, you got to find a way to ban. You can't just auto banish this card. It has no way to banish itself, a la Popsicle. So you have to find ways to banish it. Except if you're playing a coconut card, which allows you to banish items at will during your turn, right? As Hiram, or sorry, as who is it? Yeah, Hiram, right? No, Nick Wilde. I'm sorry. Hiram doesn't have a coconut card yet. As Nick Wilde does. So like this card's super good, right? Because you have that coconut card gives you the ability to banish items, at will. So yeah, super cool. Yeah, this seems kind of nuts. There's just some like mean. Oh goodness gracious! There's just some mean cards in here. Yeah, same. Whenever this item is banished, you may pay 2 less for the next item you play this turn. It's another card, unconventional tool where, it just requires you to find a way to banish it in order to use it. But again, Nick Wilde says, at any point during your turn, you can banish 4 items in order to gain lore. And so it just gives you this ability to banish these items, which don't have a way to banish themselves. I think it's fun. Yeah. Okay. It's my daughter there. Okay. Heather sent me a list. Let's take a look. New colors. I keep saying this every time somebody sends me a list. I love that this format was like became public today and people are already like jamming lists in Dreamborn. Makes me really happy. There's a world in which like this format's revealed and like nobody cares, you know? And I know there's a lot of people who are tepid on it and are like the jury's still out, but the fact that people are in there in like Dreamborn jamming out lists already and kind of, you know, exploring the space to me is super fun. It means there's something there. So this is fun. So who's your Tink Coconut? So Tinkerbell, so she does the extra damage. Yeah, there's a lot of rush characters here. Mulan with a triple shot. And I assume there's just going to be a lot of direct damage actions down here. Oh, Shere Khan. What does that Shere Khan do? Doing damage to this character. Ready this character. Okay. Yeah, Superman, of course, 4 copies of Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. Yeah, and just a bunch of top-heavy songs. A bunch of sing-together songs in here. It's so fun to me seeing like 3 colors all together. So yeah, I like Heather. I don't know if you did this on purpose because I know there's like some synergy there, but like it's a Tinkerbell deck. It's Tinkerbell Giant Fairy is kind of like who the central character is. And if it's for flavor, like I love it. They're probably good in here, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Tinkerbells that I see without the Giant Fairy. So I love that. I love that flavor. So super fun. And some Peter Pans. All the Tinks were on purpose? Yeah, I figured. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And appropriate for Fairy Queen Tink. To immediately gravitate towards the Tinkerbell deck. And again, like that's part of the fun of this format. I mean, doing busted things and like having, you know, like really high power level and all that, that's like super cool. And I love that people are going to fine tune, you know, these decks and find fun interactions, but also just the ability to kind of role play, you know, in a way and to find the character that you, that resonates with you. And, I don't know. I love that. I love that element, that self-expression element to it. And I don't know. It's a big fan. Okay, I have like 4 deck lists. Super cool. But yeah, I really hope, and it's probably going to be a while. Like I know that this is beta test, and like what's going to happen most likely is we're going to see these 18 cards. They're going to be out here for a while. They're going to give us time to experiment with them, to deck build. The team's going to see how these are received, and so we're not likely to see new coconuts for quite some time. I think probably a long time, but it is going to be really fun to see. Like I can see a world in which, because coconuts are kind of centrally controlled, right? Like it's not the same rule as Magic where any legendary character, like if the rule were, you know, any hero character can be your, you know, hero or whatever. It's not as centrally controlled by Ravensburger because they're printing these hero cards or these legendary cards or whatever without thought to how they're going to impact this format, and people are going to pick up whatever they want, whatever. But this is a lot more centrally controlled, where they're basically saying, hey, here is the coconut you can play. And there's really no way for fans to create their own... I guess we could create our own coconuts. But in general, because this is kind of a supportive format right now, we have the coconuts we have, and we're going to get more release over time. Where I was going with this is, I can envision a day where down the road, we're doing the lore cast for a specific set, and everybody's there to see the news, and we get, here's some cards, here's the trove, here's the playmats that we're releasing for this, and everybody's all excited. But then they're like, all right, and here's your like 3 new coconuts this set. Or maybe even 6. Maybe there's 6. Maybe there's 1 per ink color. Maybe there's 3. Maybe there's 2. I don't know. I don't think you want to get too as we get like our 2 or 3 new options to build around. And maybe they're themed very specifically towards that set. Like Wilds Unknown. Imagine getting a toy themed coconut that cares about toys, and a very specific like Buzz and Lightyear coconut. There's ways to kind of do it so that it resonates with particular sets, and I don't know, I can just envision a day where the rollout of new coconut versions is just as exciting for certain segments of the community as other elements that we're seeing for the new sets. I can also envision a day where pre-cons become a thing. Again, I don't necessarily, like Fungus and Eric and a lot of people have said, I kind of fear the day that set design takes into consideration this format, and they're trying to because at that point you're just juggling too much. But I really don't mind, and I'd actually be excited for a day when they are releasing the same way that we used to do single player decks, that you could release new physical card coconuts alongside pre-constructed decks that are kind of built around them. I think that would be a ton of fun. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic right now. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what happened. We did lose a bunch of people. We lost like 20 people. All of a sudden my chat was offline and then it came back. So apologize everyone. I literally have no idea what happened. What'd you miss? What did we all miss? Oh, everybody's back. Okay. Twitch is mean. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It was very strange. Very strange. Gotta figure it out though. I blame Streamlabs. While you were all gone on Twitch, I said some incredibly brilliant things. I don't know. I was talking about pre-cons and how I'm kind of excited for them, to be quite honest. They're not coming anytime soon, but one day I can envision a world where we get pre-constructed coconut decks, and I don't know, I'm here for it. I was thinking, here's a random thought. Okay, I'm getting towards the end of the stream here, where I should be going to bed. The slightly more unhinged and terrible idea portion of the stream. I was thinking of doing like to kind of celebrate the format, kind of a deck building contest. Yeah, Eric, this is the point where I get the tap and told to go to bed before I do something crazy. I was thinking about doing a contest where I invite the community to send in like deck lists. I'm like, hey, send me a coconut deck list. And do a video like highlighting like 10 different lists and like the community members who sent them in. I think it'd be a super fun way to kind of celebrate the format. And then as a prize, so I have a ton of bulk here in this office, and it's a singleton format, right? And then as a prize for the winning deck list, I built that deck and sent it to the winner. Like I basically sent them the pre-constructed deck. Which, I mean, if you already had a version, you could like give it away to somebody or whatever. I thought that'd be a fun thing to do. Maybe you don't need a prize to like get people to participate, but I think it'd be fun. Maybe that's Twitch telling me to go to bed. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably Twitch telling me to go to bed. That looked like a quick blink, but I apologize again. I literally have no idea what's going on. I'm hardwired in to my internet right now. But yeah, anyway, thought about doing that contest. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to roll that out. It'd be super fun. One of the tests though of the how well this format's doing right away is Yeah, sorry. Maybe it's better on YouTube. I don't know. I did one of the. Shoot, I was going somewhere with that. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. One of the tests of the popularity of the format for me, like how excited people are. I'm gonna do a few coconut videos. We'll see how the view count is. There's a world in which I do a coconut deck list video and it gets like 10 views, but I don't know. I'm kind of excited to to kickstart it a little bit because, yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. The next thing is how many new YouTube coconut channels are being created right now, where folks are seeing that lane and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna go nuts and create a Lorcana coconut channel, and that's literally what it's gonna be. I don't know. There's probably there are people out there right now, doing that. I'm sure. I don't know. It's super fun. Bring back the pins, says Fairy Queen Tank. I've got them still. I should do. Yeah. I still have the true pins. But I mean, I could do a pin as a reward. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Maybe that's the reward. Maybe it's a trivia pin. So, yeah, coconuts. Yeah. Eric says, I want to know more about the other multiplayer format. I don't know that there is one, Eric, actually. I'm interested in which one you're talking about. I thought there might be another one that they were working on because of how the Gen Con one said bring your own deck, and this one, unless you knew about the rules ahead of time, you couldn't do that. But I think this is the only one that they're working on. The only other multiplayer format is that I'm aware of is I was taught how to play the. I won't name names, but I will say somebody very, 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 very high up in the game design team, about as high as you get, was the first person to teach me how to play the 2v2 format where both players on a team take their turns simultaneously. So it's like a two-headed dragon variant, except when you take your turn at the same time, what it enables you to do is sequence your cards in really fun ways. So like I can challenge, and then you can use something to you can use Cheshire Cat to like heal my card, like, and then slide damage. So like it's really, really fun, and it's probably my favorite way to play Disney Lorcana. Period. I haven't played a ton of Coconut yet. I've played it like a couple times, so I can't throw that in the mix yet. But literally 2v2, like two-headed dragon variant with like simultaneous turns. It's my favorite way to play. So that's the only other version I can think of that I know has been seriously tested, and it's a ton of fun. So, yeah, Andrew says, I just don't want it to devolve into, as you say, a game within a game with things like competitive Coconut. Yeah, I agree. I think, here's the thing, like, the community, any TCG community is going to make, it will make every format competitive. The community is going to find a way to make this competitive. 100% will. There will be, within the next 6 months, some LGS is going to host a competitive, Coconut Night with prizing, and it's going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with that, like at all. People will find a way to make this competitive, because that's what we game players do. Thanks for the follow, Lady Tess. I appreciate you so much, both for following and for just being here at midnight 30 Central as I'm randomly musing about a new game format way past my bedtime. So people will find a way to make it competitive. And I suspect it won't, but I just hope that it doesn't get to the point where it is seen as a competitive format first and foremost. And I also really, really hope, and I do not think we're in any danger of this. I don't think we're in any danger of this at all. But we just hope that we don't have this format as like an official competitive format in like the Road to Worlds or whatever. Like, I don't think there's a world in which you have like core constructed Infinity and then like Coconut as like Worlds formats like Crown and World Champion. It's just not that type of format, and I think it's largely because the nature of Singleton leads to like really in Singleton, like if you find your combo piece, like your 1 or 2 combo piece cards, like you just happen to find that one card in the deck, your odds of winning go like way up here. If you don't find it, they're way down here. So like there's all sorts of weird lopsided odds and stuff that happen in Singleton formats. Plus, like the power level of the coconut cards are not equitable, and so yeah, it's just not suited for a competitive format, frankly. Although there are plenty of people who will make it competitive, which is fine. Penny says 6:30 a.m. I just got up for work here. Where are you? Are you UK, Europe? I'm somewhere in Europe, I'm guessing. Thanks for stopping by at 6:30. I appreciate you. We're just chatting coconut, which is I don't know, pretty fun, exciting format that I'm very excited for. I will get close to closing here, but the one point I'll make that I keep saying, and I said at the beginning, is I do not think the intent here is to split the player base, and I do not think that that's what it is in danger of doing. I think this type of format, although in the Venn diagram of players, you definitely have overlap where there are some players who will enjoy both of these formats. There are some competitive players who will gravitate over, who will gravitate from the only sanctioned way right now to play Disney Lorcana, which is 1v1, who will gravitate over to this format. But in general, I think what this format will do, and the purpose of it, and what the hope is that it grows the player base, and it allows us to bring in people to enjoy the game who are intimidated by or just not comfortable with or don't enjoy like 1v1 competitive formats. It's also really nice because the other point I'm like, it's really good for families, right? Like if you are a family of 4, you can sit down around the kitchen table and you can play this format with the whole family, in a single session, as opposed to pairing off, which I don't think is enjoyable. So that's the other piece that I love about this, is like friend groups, game nights, family game nights, friend game nights. Like you can wheel out this format and everybody sit down around the table and enjoy a game together, which I think is super fun. Yeah, Heather, that's the way it is though, every time, right? Like I don't know. People keep saying things. Do I think they'll ever support Heroic like Magic supports Commander? No, I don't, Lawson. At least not in the near term. And that's because if you're talking about this format, yes, I think there's a strong chance that Coconut is supported in the way that Commander supported Magic. Whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, there's some debate there. But I do like the idea of like precons and things like that. If you're talking about Heroic as referring to the Heroic format that's popularized by Default Dan and Lady Brit and those folks who've kind of piloted that format, which is a lot of fun, by the way. Kudos and shout out to them for building that multiplayer format. I don't think that there's a need to have official support for 2 different multiplayer formats that are kind of doing something similar. They're not the same, by the way. They're very different in that there's a lot more room for creative expression in Heroic because because of the way that you design your deck and bring in heroes and songs and all that. Like, you can do a lot more with it, and it's fan driven in a way that this format is not. But I just don't think there's enough. There's a reason to support 2 official formats. Yeah, they're very different, though. I guess they're very different. But perhaps that's better. I do think, and some folks here in the chat have made this point, I do think EDH and Commander were probably better when Wizards wasn't trying to cater to that community and pushing out cards and sets and products designed specifically for that format. when it was purely a fan-led format where we're doing crazy things with cards that weren't designed to be used, and I don't know, I think it felt better. So I think a world in which people continue to enjoy the heroic format and it's pushed as a fan-led format is great. And I think Coconut can exist alongside that format, and they don't necessarily have to compete with each other. So I think there's room for both. They're different enough that there's room for both, and I think that's fine. So, yeah, Lawson, I really like the storyboard aspect is really cool, and that's why I think that there's room for both. And to answer your question, it's not that they won't support heroic because they don't like the format or whatever. It's just that I think that right now, the more like official supported sanctioned formats that the company is pushing that are very, very similar, there is a point where it's too much and it becomes confusing and it divides the player base and all that. So in a world in which we're pushing both heroic and we're pushing Coconut, I just don't think I don't think that's necessary. I really like the idea of heroic continuing to exist as a fan-led format and Coconut existing as the sanctioned format, because they can operate that way. The rules of heroic and the way that you designate and design a storyboard, it can exist without official support from the company. Coconut cannot, because you have to have somebody in the game design team, in the company, on the dev team, producing these Coconut cards with their unique abilities. And so, yeah, so let them both exist. Let people enjoy both at the same time, and I think that's perfectly great. I do have a heroic deck, Lawson sleeved up right over here, though. It's a puppy deck. So, big fan of that format. But also, I'm gonna build many a Coconut deck, I'm sure, in the very near future. So, Eric, yeah, have to avoid consumer fatigue. Yeah, 100%. But the nice thing about it is, all right, this will probably be the last point. Heather, I'm calling it. This will probably be the last point before I do all my sign-off mumbo jumbo. Andrew, yeah, don't make cards that are designed for Coconut only. I don't like that feeling you described when you open a card that's made for a specific format. Yeah, I agree. I just want to say that like I don't want to see people asserting that every card that looks like it's designed for multiplayer was designed for Coconut, when we've had cards designed for multiplayer all the way since the first chapter. It won't be the case that every multiplayer card that we see was designed for this format, because I think that that's not the case. But the consumer fatigue point that Eric just made, any company is going to look for ways to continue to monetize that product and to develop different revenue streams from that particular product. I don't know if anybody missed it or if you saw it, but there's some news that came out today that this was the most profitable year for Wizards of the Coast ever by threefold. And everything that they've been pushing with, and that Magic's been pushing with Universes Beyond and all these different product lines and secret layers and all that, are incredibly profitable. Any company, any for-profit company that owns, something like a TCG is going to continue to look for ways to monetize that product, because you kind of have to. There are going to be down times. There's going to be times where the economy tanks and luxury items and luxury hobbies like TCGs just aren't affordable. And so, to keep the game alive, you have to look for ways to develop revenue streams to give yourself a cushion during the good times and all that. So when you have multiple formats, like Coconut, then you have Core Constructed and Infinity and all that. What I think it actually does, is it could, rather than induce more product fatigue, it could create different product lines designed for different segments of the community that allows the company to generate more revenue off these cards, off the game, without oversaturating or causing fatigue among everybody, right? Because let's say, for example, coconut precons become a thing, and every set coconut precons become a thing. There's a large part of the community who will not care about those at all, unless a precon contains a very specific special foiled card. I don't know, like, but by and large, like, if in a world in which, let's say tomorrow they announce a series of coconut precons, there's a good chunk of the Disney Lorcana community who is like, don't care about that. That is not for me. I play Core Constructed. I don't need this weird coconut card and one of a whole bunch of random cards. So I'm just not going to buy that product. And yet, you know, among a different section of the community, hopefully a piece of the pie that we've expanded to bring in new players, they're going to want that product. So, like, to the product fatigue point, having this distinct multiplayer format exist could allow the company to generate additional, to open up additional like streams of revenue, different product lines that do not create product fatigue among everybody because they're specifically tailored to different elements of the community. I'm not saying that's so right. That was my like 12:46 a.m. version of that point. All right, I should call it before Twitch craps out again. Hey, everybody, thanks for hanging out. I don't stream super often on weeknights. You know, I normally have my Monday night stream, and then whenever the fancy strikes me, or I find a free evening, or when Disney Lorcana releases like a brand new format on a Tuesday, I'll find time to jump on and talk about it and give my thoughts and muse and just hang out with some lo-fi and chill. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me this evening. Thanks to the folks who subscribed on YouTube and Twitch. Getting very, very close to 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I'm pretty excited about. So appreciate you all. If you're interested in any of our normal streams, if this is your first time here, Monday night, 8 p.m., I normally stream with my stream partner Logan and Stephen Gettle, who is our producer, who sits back in the green room and makes stuff happen. So look forward to seeing you Monday night. We'll probably talk about this format. Probably talk about it quite a bit. So if you want more coconut, let me know. And I probably will do that contest where I make a video with a whole bunch of fan submitted coconut decks. So if you're watching this right now, and or you know anybody who's itching to design decks for this format, like, send them to me, please. In fact, Heather, we should make a coconut channel in the Discord. Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna make a coconut channel in the Discord, so that folks can jump in and we can start sharing some coconut lists, and maybe I'll do a video shouting them out. So if you're exploring this format, I'm kind of interested to see what people are doing with it. Send me a note. I'm gonna post a link to the Discord server here. Send me a note, send me your deck list, jump on the Discord server, check it out, and we'll probably do a video and a contest, and I'll have a reward. It'll either be like a pre-constructed version of the deck that you submitted for the contest, and or an Illumitier's trivia pin, because Heather's right, I don't give those out enough. So yeah, the last other thing, again, thanks for the subs, thanks for the follows, all of that jazz. Coconut, yeah, rah. Coconut. Just a reminder that the pre-sale for the Vaultex Set 13 binders are going on right now. You can find those at vaultex.com in the Disney Lorcana binder section. They do eventually sell out. So if you want those, definitely check those out. And use code Illumiteers for 10% off and to support the channel. Just feel like I have to say that because, yeah, reasons. But yeah, everybody have a good night. Appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging out. Coconut is awesome. And yeah, appreciate you all. Take it easy. I will send it to the end screen here. If you're watching on Twitch, I am going to try to work a raid because I'm really bad at it, but I'm going to try to do that to send it off to another Disney Lorcano channel. So if you want a raid, hang out there. If you're on YouTube or whatever, I'm just going to cut the stream after a little bit. So again, love you all. Thanks. Who else is live right now? Never mind. I'm the only Disney Lorcano channel live right now, which makes sense. So scratch the raid. I'll see y'all later. Good night, everyone.